W imieniu liberałów bardzo proszę pani Marietje Schaake.
Thank you, President, Commissioners and colleagues. Trade rules and negotiations are complex. We saw this during years of negotiating TTIP, negotiations that are stalled after a dramatic change in the American approach. And normally trade arrangements are certainly not the kind of topic to be shaped in a number of angry tweets one morning. Tweets that sent stock markets plumbing, and Gary Cohn resigning. We condemn the harsh accusations in the EU's direction and frankly are puzzled by what we see. And adding insult to injury, the president's tweets now also speculate to impose tariffs on European cars and other accusations. And for a country that exports so many German cars, this is at least a bad business proposition. Many jobs are created in the US by European companies and vice versa. We don't live in a zero-sum world, but we're actually mutually dependent. Now, senior officials have suggested national security is the reason to impose broad steel and aluminium tariffs also on Europe. And as allies, we believe these arguments are misguided and not justified. The same goes for the notion that individual member states may negotiate exemptions. American hints at undermining the EU, as well as British hints at being open to special treatments, can only be read as being made in bad faith and must be challenged, where the British government will find out soon, if necessary, what the benefits of a common approach globally in the EU are, or were in their case. For decades, the US and the EU have worked together to craft a rules-based system, rules for human rights, war and peace, and also trade. Now, does that mean that the system or the WTO is perfect? Not at all. But does history suggest our citizens benefit from shaping globalization, from being rule makers instead of rule takers? Absolutely. And that is precisely what makes the soundbites of the current US administration so disturbing. Right at the time we need to work together as the liberal democracies of this world to curb unfair trade practices of China and others, we are divided. As Vice President of the Transatlantic Legislators Dialogue, I look to members of Congress in particular for their leadership and solid affirmation of the transatlantic relation. We do not need a trade war and will do what we can to stop it. And Commission, you have my group's full support as well. But we are ready to adapt proportionate and WTO-compliant countermeasures when it's necessary. Thank you.
Dziękuję bardzo. W imieniu Grupy Zielonych.